Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Jennifer J with Moving Forward. So glad you're joining me again. I have been looking at my analytics on the YouTube channel. I'm happy to say we have several new followers this week. I think 33 in the last week, and there was another one just this morning. So 34 new followers. So I'm glad you're here. If you're not subscribed, that's okay too. We're glad you're watching. I know there are several thousand that are watching that have not subscribed. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy the channel. If you want to hear the whole story, it does start with the first video. So you'll want to go to videos up in your top toolbar. It says home and then videos. That will show you all of the videos instead of just the last 5 or 6. So you can start with number 1 and hear the whole story. Otherwise, if you just want to tune in for today, that's all right too. We're happy you're here. So I am going to be in Matthew chapter 25 today. And I've shared this with you before, but if you're new, just in case for those that are new, bear with me. But if you will take your Bible and split it basically in half, if you don't know where Matthew is in your Bible, that should get you to Psalms or Isaiah, which is really close together. And then split that in half again, and you should be in John, which is one of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So if you're in John, flip over to the left a little bit, and you will find Matthew. That'll get you really close. So we're going to be in Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through, I think, 29. It's really long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'll let you read it, but many of you know the story. It's where Jesus tells his disciples a parable of a man that was going to take a journey. He was going to take a long journey, so he gave one servant 5 talents, he gave another servant 2 talents, and he gave another servant 1 talent. And he told them to take care of that while he was gone. So the first servant with the 5 talents went straight away, and he invested it, and he traded, and he got 5 talents more. The second servant had 2 talents, did the same thing, invested, traded, doubled it, got 2 talents more. The third servant had 1 talent and decided he was afraid of his master, so he didn't want to risk losing it, so he went and dug a hole in the earth and buried it. And when the master came back, he said, how'd y'all do? You know, the first one says, here, I traded and got 5 talents more. And he said, well done, good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your Lord. And the second servant says, you gave me 2, and here's 2 more besides. And he says, well done, good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your Lord. And the third one says, you gave me 1 talent, but I know that you're a hard man, and I know that you reap where you didn't sow, and you're a dishonest in some ways, and a hard man, and so I was afraid of you, and so I went and dug a hole in the earth and I buried it so that I wouldn't lose it, and here it is, here's what you gave me. So he hadn't done anything with it. Here's what you gave me, and I'm giving it back to you. And he says that's evil, because he could have at least put it in the bank and gotten interest on it, at the very least. If you know I'm a hard man, at least go put it in the bank and let me earn interest on it. But you just didn't do anything with it at all. And so what Pastor Mackey was saying today was talking about, that Jesus has given us each gifts and talents and abilities. And he went away on a long journey. He went back to heaven, right? And he said he's coming back one day. So he went away for a long journey. And he's waiting to see what we're going to do with what he gave us. When he comes back, are we going to say, here's what I did with the gifts and talents and abilities you gave me, and look what I reaped with that? Or are you going to say, you gave me all of this and I did nothing with it? And the difference is going to be very real, you guys. So we need to be careful. I think it reminded me, he called it risk takers. So like the servant with 5 talents, he said, he was a risk taker. He went and traded and doubled his profits. And we need to do that as Christians. And I think that when we're a new Christian, many times we're so excited when we're a new Christian. You know, those baby believers, they just want to be at church every time the doors are open, and they want to get involved in everything, and they want to tell everybody what God's done for them. And I think what happens many times, because then he talked about just being a caretaker of what you have, which is kind of like just cruising, like, okay, I did that, and now I'm just going to kind of coast on that. And I think what happens, how we go from being the risk taker to being the caretaker, is that we're a new Christian, we're all excited, and then I think that's not mirrored back to us, right? You go to church, and most everybody at church has already been the new Christian, right? They're growing, they're at different levels or different ages in their growth, but they're not that baby new Christian anymore on fire for God. So they kind of dampen, I think we all do this, we kind of dampen that excitement of the new Christian, and they learn through their experience that not everybody acts like this. Not everybody is as excited as I am. Maybe I need to tone it down. I think we do that as Christians. What do you guys think? We go to church and we do church, but I think we kind of, with those young Christians, we're kind of like, settle down there, young buck. Like, okay, you don't have to be quite so on fire. And we don't want to say that we do that, but if you think about it, I think that's kind of what happens. And so we teach new believers to tone it down. And so then we just kind of coast, right? We do things quietly, but we don't jump and shout and get excited a lot of times. So I think we need to be careful. We need to be careful to encourage young Christians and to be excited. I don't care if you've been a Christian 50 years, be excited. And you know, at my new church, at Pilgrim Rest, people are excited and people get excited, and not just at church. I see them out during the week and we can get just as excited. And I think that's great, but it's not like that in every church I've ever been at. It's not like that in any other church I've ever been at, where it's just on fire for God, just letting it show, letting it all out there, unashamed. And not just at church, but anywhere, on Facebook, social media of any kind, at the grocery store, you know, wherever, at the restaurant, just really proclaiming what God has done in our lives. And it doesn't make you weird, it doesn't make you a Jesus freak or Bible thumper or whatever names haters want to call us. It just makes you on fire for Christ. And so I think it's important when Christ comes back from his long journey. He's been gone a long time, y'all, but he's coming back. He promised us he would. And when he does, we have to give an account for what we've done with our talents. What have we done with them? Have we shared his word with other people? Have we led anyone to Christ? Have we planted any seeds? You know, you might not be the one that leads people to Christ, but you might be the one sowing the seed. They say, research, when I say they, research has shown that somebody has to hear the word 12 to 15 times before they accept it for themselves. So they have to hear about Jesus 12 to 15 times before they decide to follow him. So maybe you're the one that sows the seed the first time. Maybe you're the one that's watering the seed. Maybe you're not the one that's experiencing getting to pray with someone to lead them to Christ. Maybe that's not the job that God has given you. But that doesn't mean you're not earning rewards. If you are sharing, if you are being a testimony, and you know, sharing what you have as well, not just with people in the church, but if you know, how much are you doing? Are you offering what you have to people in need? You know, we have a wonderful community here where I live, and they have a page on Facebook that's everything's free. So you can ask for things you need, you can borrow things, or you can give things. And so people are on there all the time. I moved into a new apartment, And I asked, did anybody have a stud finder so I could mark my walls where I was going to hang things? And somebody, within minutes, you guys, within minutes, I'm going to say within 1 to 2 minutes, somebody messaged me, hey, I've got one, I'll leave it on my patio, here's my address, come and get it. And I got it and I used it, and she messaged the next day and said, hey, do you know when you might be bringing that back? And I said, I'm on my way right now. Like, I was done with it, I took it back, put it back where I found it. Things like that happen all the time on this page. Everybody's just helping everybody. And I don't know if they're Christians or not Christians, but they're certainly acting like Christians. And that's what we need to be doing. And, you know, the Bible says that they will know we are Christians by our love. And how much are we loving on other people? How much are we just making a meal and taking it to somebody because we can? Do you know a shut-in? Do you know someone at a nursing home? Do you know someone who just lives alone, like me, who would just appreciate having company? You could make something to take over for them. I'm thinking with the holidays coming up, you could have your kids make cards, or you could make a card and take over. Things like that just mean a lot to people, and we need to make sure we're doing it and not getting so stuck in our own little world with our own little family and our own little chores and to-do lists that we forget that, you know, it's bigger than us. It's so much bigger than us. And so don't be like the slothful servant that just dug a hole. And as Pastor said today, he was working at getting out of work because, you know, he had to find a shovel, he had to dig a hole, he had to find a place to hide it. It couldn't just be out in the open. So he had to search out a place where he could hide this talent and then dig a hole and then bury it. And so he went to work at not working just so he could hide the talent. And we sometimes do that. We work hard at not working and making excuses. He said that the servant with the one talent used 51 words to explain why he didn't do what he was supposed to do. The other two used 19 words. So we're spending so much time getting out of work and then making so many excuses for it. And at the end of time, you guys, when Jesus comes back, and I don't think that's going to be that far away, honestly, if you just look at what's happening in current events, we're going to have to give an account for how we spent our time, how we spent our money, how we spent, how we utilized what God gave us. You know, how we're utilizing our car, how we're utilizing our home. You know, there are so many things. And so really think about that. What do you have that you could share with somebody in need? I'm sure there's something. You know, for me, it was doing foster care. So we had an extra bedroom, we had an extra bed, we could offer that. And so we took in foster kids. There's so much that you can do, and it doesn't have to be fostering. You know, you might open your home, if you have an extra bedroom, to missionaries that come in the area that need a place to stay. You know, missionaries don't have a lot of money. Trust me, I know. So there's lots of things you could do, but pray on it and really see what do you have that God could use, because God's given you everything. God gave you the air to breathe and the lungs to breathe it, and so nothing you have is of yourself. It's not because you went to work and you made money and now you have things, because you couldn't go to work if God didn't give you air to breathe, and you couldn't go to work if he didn't give you strength in your body. And so just recognize that everything comes from God. All good things are a gift of God. So we just need to recognize that and then see, how can we give that back to the Lord? How can we offer that back? What can we do? So think about that this week. You know, my son did a sermon. I'll try and link it on my descriptor if I can. It was a Dropbox link, so I'm not sure if I can or not, but I'll try. But he had said in this testimony that Jesus isn't an add-on. Jesus isn't an add-on. So when you become a Christian, it's not like, I'm going to add church to my calendar of events now. I'm going to add Bible study to my calendar of events now. Jesus isn't just an add-on to our life. We don't just keep living the way we were living and then also add Jesus. He said, Jesus is the way you live your life now. So Jesus is everything now. So he's not an add-on to your life. He is your life. Every aspect of your life should revolve around him. And so I thought that was a really great lesson from my son, just to remember every single aspect should revolve around Jesus and glorifying him. So right on the line, let me know what you guys can do this week or what you've been doing. Maybe you are good at this. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're a new Christian. Tell me how that feels when you go to church. If you're one of the ones that are really excited and everybody else is just kind of like, settle down. Or maybe you're one of the ones that's not a new Christian and you recognize that you've been the one that's kind of watered them down or made them calm down. Whatever it is, type on the line, let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.